Rachel here from Beads by Verchiel, bringing you Thursday tutorial time as always. So let's see who's going to be first to join. As always, whether you're with me live now or whether you're going to be catching up on replay a little bit later on or in the forthcoming days, please do give me a thumbs up and pop me a note in the comments so I know you are present, and I really appreciate that so many of you do that. So hope you're all well. This is week 4 of bead embroidery. Hello Kevin, hello Kim, and all of the other 3 tutorials, they're already on YouTube. Hello Janet, hope you're all well. So I think some of you are starting your journey on bead embroidery, which is really lovely to see, and it's lovely to see people that are already sort of developed in their journey, sharing that with other people as well. Hello Sharon, hope you're all well. I've got my cup of coffee. So a very quick recap on what we've been doing. So we did, do you know what, I don't even think I've got them all in my box here. We did earrings in the first week, stud earrings, smaller versions of these, but studs. Hi Kay, hi Kaz. And then we did a pendant. We also looked at doing picot edging as well. There's another pendant, Tree of Life are really lovely. And last week we looked at putting together the different cabochons to make a bracelet as well. So that was last week. I had to think then. Hello Lorraine, it's good to have you. Patrick's tail is pulling on the beads it's attached to. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Sharon. I'm sorry, you might have to elaborate. Hello Francis. So this week we're doing a ring, and I'm going to show you how to do a teardrop shaped cabochon. Hello June, hello Trisha. Beautiful bracelet, thank you, I'm glad you like it. So this week I'm trying to do some special offers every week for you, and they expire on a Sunday at midnight. And excuse me for leaning across and disappearing. This week's special offers are bead embroidery pendants. Now they're $14.95. They were, and they're now down to $9.95 until Sunday. They've got full written, full photograph instructions. They've got the chain, all of the seed beads, the needle and thread, the backing that's printed so that you can follow the lines for the circle, and the only thing you're going to need is a dab of glue. And instead of a cabochon in the centre, it's a bead. So I've actually got 5 colourways in that. Not only do you get it for $9.95, but what you also get is a little booster where you've got 4 of these printed pieces, so you can make another 4 from your own stash, and the backing as well to go with that. So these are what they look like. So you've got the hot pink, terra intensive and lime, the gold and the black diamond. You can also adapt this pattern to earrings as well, so you can use some of your spares to make some earrings. I've just made them slightly smaller. That's the purple and blue, sea green and blue, and finally the purple and the pink. So there you go, that's this week's offers. And the other thing I was going to say was, if you've never made any of my bead embroidery animal kits, then everything you've learned over the last 3 weeks gives you the tools in your bag to be able to make any of the bead embroidery animal kits. So these are all on my website. So you've got, no, he wasn't Cyril, Clara, she was Clara, so the hedgehog, the hummingbird is coming up. You've got to wait till the 4th of September for Harmony. Patrick Peacock, Percy Peacock. So there's lots of different ones. I've got hare, I've got mice, hedgehogs, hare, mice, peacocks. So yeah, go and take a look. It might just give you the confidence to just try something else. So let's have a look at your comments. Let's just lower this down a bit. Oh, excellent. So Kevin's got his 5 cabochons ready to make his bracelet. Brilliant. And I always appreciate you posting your mates in the Beaders by Beads by Verchiel thread as well. Oh, I see. It's pulling the beads it's attaching. Ah, right. Yes, I'm with you, Sharon. So basically the weight. So Sharon's making this one. And I think what Sharon means is that these lines that come down are pulling the stitch in. What I'd suggest you do, Sharon, is put your needle, like Janet says, reinforce, but you need to reinforce this line of stitching. And what I do is I back stitch a couple at a time as well, so that that stops it from pulling. Okay, hope that helps. Hello, Jackie. Each bead individually. Yes, that's possible. Oh, it's really great that everybody's sharing tips. That's what I love about you guys. It's wonderful. Okay, you put some extras in. That's right. Show us, if you could show us in the Beaders group. Great suggestion, Janet. So it's brilliant. You're all giving some guidance. Hello, Betsy. Really good, thank you. Yes, it's been raining here as well. Hi, Lydia. Hi, Linda. Day before your birthday. Oh, so your birthday is on the 5th, I take it. And you love my hummingbird. I'm so pleased. I'm really chuffed. I think I'm going to make another colourways on it. But yeah. So don't forget, do hang around, because we're going to have a usual giveaway as well. I have actually just put in the thread the turquoise coloured seed beads that I'm using tonight. The silver ones are already in there. I really ought to put a few more size 15s in the thread, so if anybody needs any, just send me a direct message. Hello, Hilary. Good to have you. Right, so let's get started. Now, Trisha mentioned a while back, was there anything that we could use our spare bits of beading foundation for? Well, yes, absolutely. Little projects like this, like the ring, only need the tiniest bit, because what we're actually doing is we're only doing 2 little rows on the outside. That's as wide as we're going, as well as the peyote. So absolutely keep all of your, I mean, tinier than that. Sorry, I wasn't being rude. That's terrible, isn't it? Basically anything smaller than that, I would just bin it. But anything sort of this size upwards, keep them in a box. If anybody doesn't want to invest in larger pieces of the bead embroidery foundation that I sell, let me know, because I can sell them in tiny bundles for you if you'd like. So tonight, taking it that you're brand new, is you need a size 10 beading needle. Sometimes for the size 15 seed beads, you may need a size 12 needle. Okay, and I'm working with size 10 seed beads, but to be honest, you use whatever works for you. I'm just going to give you a starting point and a guide. And size 15s are the tiny ones. God, what's the matter with me tonight? Size 15 are the tiny ones that make the peyote. So first of all, what we're going to do is, you would have pop your E6000 on the back of the teardrop. Now can you see that really looks so much bigger than it is by the time it's finished? I think these two, you can buy a pair of these in the thread. They're either £1 or not much more or less than that, I can't remember. So Janet says those are, love the silver ones, they're so good. They're great, aren't they? Hello Dot, it's great to see you. So I've got beading thread, which I'm using KO tonight, but you can use Nymo, Fireline. Everybody's got their sort of choice that they want to use. The beading foundation is my own branded one that I use. What else do you need? E6000. So if you want to see how to glue on the cabochon, watch back some of my previous ones as well, and you can see that, but just don't overdouse it. So let me get my beads at the ready, and then we'll zoom in. Is it just me? It's so humid tonight. I think there's obviously a storm brewing, but it could just be my age. More than likely. So let me zoom in. I've tied a triple knot at the bottom of my thread. No, I haven't. I need to tie a triple knot at the bottom of my thread. So by a triple knot, I just wrap it inside the loop and pull. Okay. Right. Oh, that's the hematite teardrop. Again, that looks slightly bigger than it actually is by the time it's gone into the setting. Right, I think let's just bring that up a little bit. Right, okay. So you don't need much. What I would suggest you do is sort of start kind of near the middle point of the teardrop. Come from the back of the foundation up to the front, and we're going to work in groups of 4. So if you're new to this, you've not watched a tutorial before, to do the peyote that we're going to do a bit further on, you need to make sure that you're working in even numbered beads for it to work. All will become clearer. So I'm going to take a nosedive down after those beads, and what I'm going to do is actually just curve these edges, because in a moment it's going to drive me slightly mad and all my thread's going to get caught on it, as it normally does. So when you're at the back, turn over, and we're going to back stitch, and to back stitch you go through the previous hole that you made, i.e. in this case it's where the knot sits. And then we're going to do what's called reinforcing, so we're going to go back through those 4 beads you've just added. Make sure that sits nice and tight, and add another 4 beads. And use the tip of your needle to pick up those seed beads. So push that up against the others, always working about a millimetre away from the cabochon. So effectively your seed beads sit really snug. Go through the previous hole, which should bring you out at the beginning of those 4 beads you've just added. Reinforce by going back through those. Now you will have to bear with me, because you may have seen a lot of this already. I'm going to do most of it, and then I have done a bit of the band, the ring band later on, but this bit I'm going to have to cover, but I'm sure you won't mind a recap. So we're going to back stitch, Now, when you start feeling a bit more confident, what you can always do, I know we did this in a live a little while ago, is you can use a permanent ink stamp. And if you've got any card stamps, any pretty card stamps, perhaps with flowers or anything like that, anything that appeals to you, stamp it on some of the beading foundation and use some of these techniques to do your own little piece. The only thing you need to be careful of is obviously don't sell. You can sell it on as a finished piece, but obviously you just need to be mindful of the copyrights on the stamps. It's something I've looked into before for the flowers, because the flower dies are so handy, and I know generally they're quite happy for you to use them to sell, but like I do, you wouldn't be able to actually use them in a kit. What I liked about these turquoise beads is the way they really do pick out the colour of this cabochon, and what they do is they almost make the cabochon look a little bit bigger. Right, now we need to fill that gap with an even number of beads, which fortunately we've got 2 that fit. Okay, so we're going to bring that in like so. Please don't form a knot. And then on the last one, rather than just going through the last few bits, we're going to go through the whole lot. And what I mean by that is reinforce. Okay, so you're pushing your needle, and what this does is it helps to line it all up. Just be mindful, if you're using the tinier beads, I wouldn't suggest you do a reinforcing row if you've got another row to do on top, only because you might not be able to get your needle through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just here, and whereas before we've done size 15 for a peyote, I'm actually going to carry on with another row of size 10s. So for peyote, we're coming out of this one, we're going to skip the next one and go through this one. You don't need to pull it too tight, just leave it on the side, skip that one and go through the next one. And this is a Native American Indian stitch called peyote, which is used in so many different ways. And actually the band, the ring band we're going to use, is a form of peyote as well. So as you can see, you know, this teardrop shape really isn't any different. To doing the circular ones. Right, so but whilst I'm doing this, I would really, really love your comments as to which of the projects have you enjoyed the most. So, or perhaps you'd not thought of doing before, but it gave you some inspiration. You know, was it the earrings? Was it the pendant? Was it the bracelet? Or perhaps it's this evening's is to see how the rings put together. it's a bit slack. So this looks a bit messy at the moment, which is absolutely fine because we're going to pull it in on the next row. The reason why I'm using a row of 10s now and not 15s is because the cabochon is a little bit deeper than some of the others, and I can get away with doing a row of 10s. Now on the last one, I'm going to actually skip over the last seed bead like so, and then I'm going to step up into the first one that we added. Now what we're going to do to actually get this part here is we're going to actually add a row of size 15 seed beads. Now the larger the number, the smaller the bead. And I'm afraid I've done it again, haven't I? I've picked a pale colour. So I've added a seed bead and I'm going through the next bead and I'm pulling it towards the cabochon. Add a seed bead, go through the next one. These just remind me of zips where they just all slot into place. There we go. So you see how that really is becoming quite neat now. This would make really cute stud earrings as well. So what you could always do, I mean, wouldn't that make such a beautiful gift for Christmas, is, you know, make someone a pair of earrings, stud earrings. Hey, I might make myself a pair actually, before they all go, all these cabochons. So make a pair of cabochon earrings like we did in the first week with a matching ring, and you could always do a pendant and actually make it a lot bigger than it is by adding lots more rounds around here. Then you could get one of those presentation boxes that take the earrings and the pendant. Wouldn't that look so nice? So we've just got 2 more left to do. There we go. And again, what I'd be inclined to do, I know with these size 15s I can get my needle back through them, but I know some of them you might struggle. So I am just reinforcing by going all the way back round those. Okie dokers. Right. So this is where I'm going to bring in my silver coloured seed beads, but obviously this is personal choice. Now what I'm going to do is take a nosedive down the back of the foundation. And that's where we're at. So that's so far, wouldn't that make a nice pair of earrings? It doesn't really matter where you start out, but I'm actually going to start up here. Just pop these away because I don't need these. Whoops. Don't need any more 15s, so you really need very little size 15s. And I'm going to use my silvers. Excuse me while I have a sip of my coffee. Right, now it doesn't matter if you work in odd numbers at this stage because you're not going to be peyoteing. But what I'd suggest you do is just follow the contours around. Do as you did before. I'm going to add a few extras in this time just for speed. Whereas I'd normally do 4, I'm just going to do 5. I wouldn't recommend it though, because you might find that some pulling occurs. But you see how quickly it comes together. So I'm going to show you how we cut the back and how we peyote the band itself. Why is it you always end up getting a knot when you don't want it? We can work around it. Back stitch. So we're doing okay for time here, which is good. I honestly didn't think, I thought it'd take a little bit longer than this. Hopefully it's not too boring to watch. I'm always very conscious of doing samey things, but sometimes I don't always have the time to do lots of different pieces for the preparation. But I think it almost looks like a piece of sterling silver jewellery. I think you'd have to look quite, unless you're a beader yourself, I don't think you'd realise it was made of seed beads from a distance. It's just coming up to the last part now. Like I say, don't worry, it doesn't have to be an even number of beads this time. Right, so I think we're going to need another one in there. I'm just going to take one off and do a group of 4, then a group of 2. But try not to ever overfill, because when you overfill it, what happens is you get bunching up occurring. Let's just make sure. Right, so I wouldn't fit 2 in there, I'd fit just the 1. And then we're going to reinforce all the way around. And I'm not actually going to tie off my needle. I'm going to actually keep it at the front. And then what I can do is I can go straight into doing peyote stitch without having to reattach anything. So we're reinforcing to align that nicely. Now you want to start off the peyote. Sometimes you might have to bit of trial and error on this one, but I'm going to actually take a nosedive down and then come back up so that my needle is facing in the right direction, and I'm going to come through the one where I'm going to start my peyote. So before we actually go into doing the peyote, I thought I'd made a mistake then. Ooh. We're going to actually cut round. So personally, I trim from the back so that you don't trim through your stitching. Always handy when you're first starting to actually have a needle threaded with a knot on the bottom. So if for any reason you do cut through your ring or you cut through your stitching, you can very quickly rectify that. And I get really, really close in. I wouldn't cover the backing on it at this stage. I know I'm cutting from the front, but I know my stitching is quite far away, so do check that first. So there we go, that's where we're at the moment. And again, you might be able to actually get another one out of that. So the peyote, this is how we get started with peyote. It's called, I'm just trying to think if this is even count. I'll work it out as I'm going. So we're coming out of one bead. We've added a seed bead. We're going to skip the next one in the row and go through the one after it. So this is very similar to how we peyote around the cabochon. I'm struggling because I'm doing it upside down so that you can see. Okay, so we're going to do another one. Skip that bead and go through the next one. So all you've done is you've added 2. And then we're going to go back down that way. So we're going to add 1 and go down the one we've just added. And I always tend to pull that and pull that. Pick up 1 and go through the one we added. So this is even count peyote. So can you see you've got 2 sticking out further than these 2? So we're going to turn, add 1, and we're going to go through the one that's sticking out first. And again, just pull it at the bottom, reposition it, just take your time. A lot of this is tension. Add a seed bead and go through the other one that sticks out. So once you've added 2, you want to turn. So can you see we've got 2 sticking out again? So those are our anchor points next. So add 1, go through 1. Again, it's not very good tension, so pull out at the bottom and reposition. Add a seed bead and go through the other one that sticks out. Alright, so we've added 2 and we're going to turn. So add a seed bead. These 2 here are our anchor points. Go through, add 1 and go through. So once you've added your 2, you know it's time to turn. Point sticking out, that one and that one. So it's every other. Again, see how that's quite slack? Pull it, pull the bottom, and then just carry on. So what I'm doing is I'm laying this on my finger in my non-dominant hand to get attention on it. Go through that one. Again, can you see there's a gap there? So I pull it at the bottom and then reposition it to get a good tension so there's no unsightly gaps. So notice how your positioning changes every time. So there's a pattern. So these 2 this time. Again, pull at the bottom. So you carry on with this method until you get the band basically in the length that you want. I'll just do a few more. and then we're going to go over to the other piece that I've done so that you can actually see how we finish off. So it's literally, and if you want to make a wider band, you can do. But as far as I can recall, in order to do this technique, you'll have to work in an even number of seed beads. Okay, so I put it there. Let's just put that down so you can have a look. So if you weren't happy with how it's sitting, then you could always undo that and take it down a little bit further if you wanted to. So the best way really to actually check is literally to put it on your finger. So let's just put that to one side, and here's one I prepared earlier. So all I've done on this one is I've literally, actually go that way, I've literally just tested. You could always just before you actually finish it, you could always just test it round your ring finger. Now bear with me, I thought I had my needle threaded, but it hasn't, it's disappeared. So I'm just rethreading my needle. So this is the one I prepared earlier, and can you see how it's just, you could even just do a plain band, and it really is like fabric, it really is beautiful. So we're going to go over the other side. Now you do want this to, I've actually kind of done this one upside down I think, but anyway, you're going to get the gist from this. So you want it really to be, make sure that you have it even the other side. Do you know what I find really handy is to actually have another beading needle or a pin, sorry, where have you gone? There you are. Right, a pin or a beading needle, and just take time. It's definitely going to have to be a beading needle to focus on where you actually want the others anchored for it to sit right. So I would say that probably is a good point. So you want it curling round, and then what I would do is normally you'd add a bead, wouldn't you? So instead of actually adding a bead, I'm going to go through the first seed bead. Now I've actually got my eye right on it, so I'm in the right place. So can you see how I'm bringing it back down? So I'm going to go through the one that juts out, and then I'm going to skip a bead and go through the next one in the row and pull that in, and then I'm going to go through the last one. And all my thread has gone. So let's just undo that a little bit so that you can see. So what I did was we anchored it so you're almost zigzagging, and then what I would be inclined to do is to go back up the last one, pull them all tight, and then what you can do is reinforce by going through the seed beads. I haven't really followed any pattern there, but if we go back where we did before, and if you've got a bit of a gap showing, then just go over to that one and pull it in a little bit. You see how that covered the gap? Providing you work in diagonals, you can pretty much cover that without any join being seen at all. So to finish, I then go down the back. Let's turn that over. And you can either tie off around the thread bars here, in a couple of different places, or you could do it in between beads at the top. If you were doing it in between beads at the top, I would push through some of the beads, pick up some thread in between a bead, and tie a knot, and just push it through a couple of beads and then trim off. And then you'd cover that with your faux backing, cover it with E6000, and there you have your finished ring. And this is the band on there. I wouldn't recommend doing your shower or doing your washing up with it, because obviously you've got thread in there and it might affect it. But isn't that a lovely sort of gemstone ring? You can use beads on these as well. They don't necessarily have to be cabochons. So let's zoom out and see how you found that. Right, where have you all gone? So Linda said, would you go a bit shorter than you want? Because when I do a ring, I think it's right size and I join it and it's bigger. I mean, that was a pretty good fit. And that, yeah, I suppose you don't want it to be too slack, Linda. So good point. And also you've got to bear in mind that the thickness of the beads will take up some of the circumference as well. But what I'd say is, before you tie off, is just try it on. If you're making for someone else, hopefully you might have a ring sizer that you can pop it on and just do a ring check, a ring size check. As usual, my comments keep seeming to disappear. I would put the backing on after joining, Sharon, because if you want to tie off at the back or make any changes, at least you've got access to it. Oh, I'm so pleased you liked it, Kevin and Linda and Kaz. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Chris. Thank you, Francis and Tracy and Dot. They're loving this. Kevin, hope mine turns out the same. I'm sure it will, and it's like anything, it's just getting the right place. I mean, you've done all of the groundwork already with your cabochons, and it's just literally, it's getting the tension right. Linda says beautiful. Linda said, yeah, I have, thanks, Rachel. Oh, brilliant, you've got a ring sizer. I think that's what you meant. So if you're making for other people, and please, if ever, you know, you want to, you know, make away with any of these, that's absolutely fine with regards to, I know on the craft store, sometimes they say, can you make to sell? Well, yes, absolutely, use these designs, you know. So I hope you enjoyed that. I can't think that there's anything else to show you. What I'd really like your feedback on is there anything else that you'd like me to show you that you can think of right now for bead embroidery? I know we've spent 4 weeks. Hopefully you found it enjoyable. The other thing I did think of is, I know I've been selling some beads and some really deep coloured gemstone beads. And sort of gemstone beads, oblongs, etc. And I didn't know if you wanted to know how to make it deeper with the peyote, to make a deeper pendant with it. So I'd really appreciate your feedback. Perhaps we might be ready to move on to something else now. Can you make decorations? Absolutely. You know, maybe that's something that we look at, Kaz, is perhaps we can do a little decoration for, are you thinking for Christmas? Sort of Christmas decorations? I suppose you just have to make sure that the backing looks nice in case it turns round. So I'll just hang on a couple of minutes just to see if any of you give me any feedback. I know sometimes it takes a while to actually come up. Yes, that I will give some thought to, possibly not for next week, but soon. I like that idea very much so. Bead embroidered star, I'm liking that. That would be lovely. You could have a nice crystal in the centre of the star, which doesn't have to be a cabochon, it could be a seed bead. When we do a new demo, could we learn herringbone? For herringbone, Kim, is it herringbone sort of for a rope or for a bracelet that you're looking at? Santa Claus, yes. Santa Claus would be a little bit more detailed to do. I like the idea for speed of the star at the moment. Deeper peyote and decorations would be good. Bead embroidered snowflake. Oh, I'm loving these. That's brilliant. For a rope. Okay. Yep. We can do herringbone. I'm gonna have to have a refresher because I haven't done one for a while. But yeah, they are beautiful. You can do so many different things with them. And there's no reason why you couldn't incorporate some of your bead embroidery off the back of the herringbone as well. Deeper peyote and peyote stars across. Loving all of these. Janet says she loves herringbone ropes and bracelets. They're really beautiful, aren't they? And I think they increase a lot quicker than you think, don't they? So if you're new and you're thinking, what on earth is herringbone? Herringbone is a widely used technique called, it's a form of bead weaving. So basically what you're doing is you're using needle and thread, specialist needle and thread. You're using seed beads. And what you do is you create this technique. It's normally about a round of about 4 seed beads. And you just keep adding them and they just develop. It's more, quite often they're more sort of square shaped than anything, the herringbone. But that is fabulous because you've all given me lots of ideas as to what you'd like to see. If there's anything you need to buy and you don't see it in the thread, do let me know, because the chances are I've probably got it, but I just haven't had a chance to put it on. So I will put the name of the winner in the top. So keep your eyes peeled. Flat herringbone as well. Yeah, it's like peyote. There's lots of different forms of it. So thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining me for the 4 weeks. I really do appreciate that from you all. This will be on YouTube very soon. And take care, everyone. Bye.